Hey, it's Lucy. There are so many quotes about failure and rejection and how they're good things because they mean that we're reaching forward and trying to better ourselves, and how without them we wouldn't know what we were doing right, so we wouldn't know how to improve. But when we're in the middle of failure or rejection, it's really hard for it to feel that way. Rejection feels like sticking your neck above the parapet and getting shot, and feeling stupid because you were safe where you were before. Rejection feels like shame because somebody has seen your work or seen you and found you lacking. Rejection feels like somebody's poured reality over your head, and it's a physical shock like cold water. If you're watching this, you'll have felt it too. When I was rejected from 5 of my PhD applications and I was just waiting on 2 left, I started thinking, well, why was I bothering anyway? What made me think I was ever good enough? And where did I ever get off being so hopeful? When my first paper was rejected, well, why did I ever think that I would get to be a published scientist? Why did I ever think that my master's research could be high enough quality? And if I'd never been accepted to a PhD program, I would have gone on thinking that I wasn't good enough. And if I'd never resubmitted that paper, I would have gone on thinking that I couldn't be a published scientist. But just being accepted by one institution, that meant that those rejections no longer mattered because I was on a course. And applying to the next journal and getting accepted meant that I got to be a published scientist, and now I will always be one. You can be rejected 1,000,000 times and think you're dreaming, think you're a failure, think you're not good enough, but all it takes is one success for that to turn around. For the last few months, I've experienced a slow, steady drip of rejection in something professional that, if I'm going to be honest, it wears a person down. And that's the advice I keep telling myself. And the advice that follows on from it is just keep going. Even though you're tired, even though you're dispirited, even though all the confidence and the hopefulness and the optimism you felt at the start has been eroded away, keep going. Hear what these rejections are telling you. If they're giving you advice, then sit down and think about it and listen and decide what to change and decide what to say, well, no, actually, I disagree with that. Find the compromise between the humility to listen to where you might be going wrong, but also the pride to stick to yourself and your guns if necessary. If, like me, they say nothing at all, and your rejection just comes in waiting for emails that never arrive, or silence that grows too loud to ignore, then sit down and think about that too. Honestly ask yourself, how can I improve? Am I doing something wrong? Is there one mistake that I'm consistently making over and over again? There's always room to improve no matter how good you are, and taking another critical but constructive look at yourself might turn over some weakness that you hadn't noticed before, or a spark of inspiration of how to make it better. Ask friends and family to take a look at what it is you're being rejected over, because you might be so close to it you can no longer see the woods for the trees. Ask them to be as honest as they would be to a stranger. Take a break from it. Go and work on something else for a bit. Forget the minute details of the thing, and then when you come back, you'll be able to see it through those strangers' eyes. But don't forget, accepting or rejecting something is intensely personal. If it's a paper and the science is flawed, okay, maybe not. But every time you go into a bookshop and you pick up a book, then you read a bit and go, Christ, what rubbish. You are rejecting it, despite agents thinking it was good, editors, publishers, marketists, stockists, they all believed in it and thought it was good, but it just wasn't to your taste. Your rejection from a job or an award or an internship might be just as personal. So, to an extent, stuff them. Take advice on board, constantly evaluate yourself, constantly look for improvements, but keep doing your thing. One person's favourite author is another person's firewood, and if that favourite author of yours had moulded themselves into something they weren't, just to see their work published, maybe you'd have set their book down in the shop as well. Keep going. This is advice I wrote for myself and thought I'd share, because who hasn't been rejected at some point? I'm dispirited, I'm holding my head a little lower than before, but I'm going to keep going. And I hope whatever rejection you're facing in your life right now, that you'll do the same.